Hi, everybody. I want to talk about um, the victim's responsibility to create positive energy and to learn to create positive energy, and how only you can really, excuse me, only you can really do that in your life. Now, in order to understand why it's so important to create positive energy, we need to look at the experience that we've been in. We've been trained to have a negative mindset. Maybe when you met the sociopath, you were a very positive person. You were a very outgoing person. You were the sort of person that people liked to be around because you emitted an aura of optimism, of a can-do attitude, etc. Maybe when you were the golden child, in places where you weren't surrounded by the narcissistic parent, you were very inspirational to people. You were very happy-go-lucky, etc. And now, all of a sudden, you've become, after exiting these relationships and while being in them, you become very aggressive, very combative with people, very pessimistic, and seemingly everything in your life, a lot of the time, I know this is true of the enabling person in my situation, the narcissist enabler. Everything is going fine. You know, you have a good job, a respectable job. You may have hidden talents that you haven't done for a long time because the narcissist has brainwashed you into thinking that they're a waste of time. And so you have lots of prospects on the surface, but you're also very negative. You're negative about people, you're constantly scared. And this negative energy has become habitual. It's become conditioned. And when you exit the relationship, that energy doesn't go anywhere. It stays within you. And you're negative years, maybe, after you've exited the narcissistic relationship. And the reason for this is because you've been taught to seek out the negative. Because anytime there was anything positive that you had to say about anybody, you were in danger. You were in danger of being, killed off by this sociopathic person, because the sociopath doesn't have any sort of need for positive energy. They are disgusted and repelled by positive energy. They're annoyed by positive energy. And one of the tells of when you're dealing with one of these people is when they're annoyed, when you're being positive in the face of some sort of adversity. And one example that I can think of is I recently I have this job where it's an interesting combination because the upper management is not narcissistic, but the employees, some of them are, or some of them display traits of narcissism. And the only real reason why I can stay at this job is because I don't have any direct contact with the other employees. I have my own department. I am my own department. And so I don't interact with the other employees. But when I was being trained by one of them, she came up to me and she's like, "What's this? Why are you making mistakes?" Or she would say things like, "Aren't you scared? Because, you know, such and such always checks this." Or, "I don't want to go home and have to think about your work." So there was lots of negative energy coming at me. And what did I do? In order to neutralize this negative energy, I started being exceedingly positive. And the immediate reaction of this person, and again, it doesn't matter if she's toxic or not, it doesn't matter if she's a narcissist. What matters is that there was negative energy coming into my space. And the only way that I could neutralize that negative energy is by being exceedingly positive. And her reaction to that was like, "You always are so positive. You're always saying these things. You're always saying that. Why are you always saying that?" So, this is one of the ways, the tools that you can use when you're first getting to know somebody. It doesn't matter if it's at work or in your personal life. You can get to know whether or not they may be a person that you want to kick out of your life. Is that positive energy repels toxic people. It's just the way it works. And you think of it in the terms of the law of attraction. And a lot of us, when we're exiting these relationships, don't really believe in the law of attraction because we say, well, we were really positive and we were really giving, and we got taken advantage of as a result of that. But now that you know how these people operate, the law of attraction is very appropriate because you can discern now whether or not the person you're dealing with is exploitative, and you could set a boundary for yourself. But in general, you need to get back to the point where you are more optimist than pessimist. It's going to serve you in your communication with people that are not narcissists, because people do not want to listen to a person that only talks about negative things. And that's your training and part of the reason why, how the narcissist was able to isolate you for all this time. Because people look at you and they say, okay, well, she has all this negative stuff that she's talking about, or he, doesn't matter. Yet she doesn't want to do anything about it. And the reason why you don't have the resources to do anything about it is because all of your resources are going into preserving this trauma bond with this sociopathic narcissist. And so that's what the negative energy is, keeping you isolated from developing any sort of friendships that are healthy. And in all honesty, you have to almost relearn how to communicate appropriately with people. Because the minute that you start talking about things or complaining about things to people that you can't change and that they can't change, you lose them. Why would people want to speak with a person that talks about things that they can't change, that is always negative, that doesn't see anything that they can fix in the world? And that person that you're communicating with, a potential friend, is wondering, well, they're not taking any of my advice. They're not listening to me. So what am I doing talking to them? What am I doing in this relationship? It's not healthy for me. So the more I explore this question, the more I practice optimistic thinking patterns. I think of I'm starting to think into the future tense. What am I going to do today? What am I going to do to better my life? Right now, I'm actually going to a dog shelter, and I'm going to walk dogs, which always put me in a positive mood. And I'm actually thinking of doing a part-time dog walking, signing up for an app where I can freelance as a dog walker. And so you see how many doors open. And the person that actually gave me that idea is a girl that I recently met. And I'm starting to kind of cultivate a friendship with. You see, the more positive you are, and the more healthy people you attract, the more the potential to attract healthy ideas into your life. And the less need you have for narcissists. So you have to relearn how you relate to people. And it's very painful in the beginning because it may remind you of the person that you used to be before this piece of shit bulldozed down your life. But at the same time, it's necessary if you ever want to be healthy. And the more you attract the water into your life, seamless relationships, things that you can do, things that you can change, the more the grease, the oil in your life is repelled from this water. And the easier it becomes to assert yourself when you do encounter toxic people. And this coworker of mine that was trying to, be abrasive with me in the beginning actually ended up being a decent person that I could confide in the end, because she was being bullied by narcissistic coworkers from the very beginning, and she developed a lot of bitterness against them, and she transposed that bitterness when dealing with me, and that's what really was going on. But if I started snapping at her, and this is what I would have done 2 years ago, right? Or started getting into it with her, I would never find that out. And in turn, because the narcissists are not in power in this situation, if they're not sitting at the level of upper management, because it's a family-owned company, what the coworkers do has no bearing on me, since I don't have direct contact with them. I'm able to neutralize that situation. It's a different story when narcissists have power over you and decide whether or not you live or die, or if you have a paycheck or not. Okay? But in general, positive energy, just like water repels grease or oil, will keep toxic people away. And when it doesn't, when they come to you because you're so sweet and nice, because of the knowledge that you have right now about narcissism and how the tells of narcissism, you're able to set that boundary now. So you're able to now be free to be a positive person that is also has more knowledge and deeper knowledge of what toxic people do and what narcissism and how unhealthy narcissism is if you don't dispel it in its early stages, if you're not able to set boundaries. So that's one thing that I want to encourage you guys to do, is to start being more of an optimist. Think about what you can do. Think about what you're going to do. Think about the friends that you used to have. Try to get into contact with those friends if you're able to. Try to be conscientious. And you're really good at being conscientious if you're watching this video of how you speak to people. Are you having a conversation in which you're just dumping on people and giving them all this negative energy? and then telling yourself, oh, how horrible it is that nobody wants to speak to me. So change has to come from within when you leave these relationships, because you have lots of bad habits ingrained in you now. And that's okay, because you can change, because you have the will to change and the gift of insight. Kisses.